Often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show under the world of outlaws.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back tonight to the Online Sim Racing Network as we lay the pedals down from all sides with the PRL. And tonight, the PRL brings you the established traffic control. That's the established traffic control round 5 of 13 for season number 9. Brought to you by the established traffic control, part of the Precision Racing League. That's Precision Racing League AMSOIL American Iracing Sunday series, sponsored by AMSOIL. They do specialize in synthetic lubricants for vehicles and equipment, and they are the first in synthetics. I'm a commentator, Sean Zulu, and joining me up in the booth is David Everly. How are you doing tonight, Dave? Oh, doing good too, thank you. Just ready to get back to the action after having a heck of a race last week at Talladega Super Speedway. Speaking of Talladega, let's take a quick recap from Talladega, the top 10. In that race, we had a new winner. That's a new winner, and that was Seth Silverio. He was also able to lock himself into the chase, so congrats to Seth Silverio once again. Kevin Whitaker came out second. Richard Regan Jr. came out third. Stephen Aguiar fourth. Corey Smith came out fifth. John LaBeouf sixth. Craig Hawkins seventh. Daniel Smallwood eighth. James O'Brien ninth. And Michael Knight did round up the top 10. And all these drivers here in the top 10 do belong to some kind of team. So I'm going to go over the teams they belong to. So Seth Silverio, Gen X2 team. Kevin Whitaker, Gen X Racing. Richard Regan Jr., Gen X Racing. Stephen Aguiar, Gen X2. team, Corey Smith, Gen X2 as well, John LaBeouf, No Fear Racing, Craig Hawkins, Old Schools Motorsports, Daniel Smallwood, Old Schools Motorsports, and James O'Brien, Road Trip Racing. So last week, that was I just caught off the top 10. Those were the teams right there, the top 10 drivers from last week at Dega. So Gen X Racing had 2 drivers in the top 10, and Gen X2 team had 3 drivers in the top 10, and we had Old Schools Motorsports have 2 drivers as well in the top 10, and No Fear Racing 1 driver, James O'Brien, also Road Trip Racing 1 driver, sorry, John LaBeouf, No Fear Racing, and James O'Brien, Road Trip Racing. But moving on to our current point standings, ladies and gentlemen, we have Kevin Whitaker still leading in points, Richard Regan Jr. second place in points, James O'Brien defending champion 3rd place in points, Craig Hawkins 4th, Stephen Aguiar 5th, Daniel Smallwood 6th, Michael Knight 7th, John LaBeouf 8th, Seth Silverio 9th, and Kyle Souza rounding up the top 10. And these drivers here as well do belong to some kind of teams. Names might repeat from last week's top 10 to the top 10 in points. So Kevin Whitaker, Gen X Racing, Richard Regan Jr., Gen X Racing, James O'Brien, Road Trip Racing, Craig Hawkins, Old Schools Motorsports, Stephen Aguiar, Gen X2 team, Daniel Smallwood, Old Schools Motorsports. We have Michael Knight, 7th place in points, GRG. That's his team right there, GRG, with Michael Knight, John LaBeouf, No Fear Racing, Seth Silverio, Gen X2 team, and Kyle Souza, Rim Riding Racing. That's Kyle Souza, Rim Riding Racing, and that's the top 10 in the points. Well, moving on to tonight's race. This is Dover International Speedway. This is the monster track. So we're going to be seeing a lot of amazing action taking place. We're going to be seeing drivers trying to survive because this track is out to get every single one of these drivers. And speaking of the track, we do have an 86-degree Fahrenheit track temp. That's 86 degrees Fahrenheit track temp. It is mostly cloudy with the wind temperature or air temperature at 78 degrees Fahrenheit. It is afternoon, winds from the northeast at 6 to 8 miles per hour. And ladies and gentlemen, this track is 1 mile in length. That's 1.00 miles in length, 4 turns as usual. And the drivers do not have a fuel cap, so they do have full tanks. And here tonight, the drivers running all the way from 22-second lap times to about 23. Well, 22 and decreasing, just depending on tire wear, because this track, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very heavy on tires. And as we speak, gridding has begun, so just a few seconds before we go down the list. Our pole sitter here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is the 15 of Christian Swenson, 51 of Joseph Yankins. I believe we missed Joseph Yankins last week at Dega, but he is starting in the 2nd place spot. Craig Hawkins 3rd, James O'Brien 4th, Richard Regan Jr. 5th, Ian Lane 6th, Daniel Smallwood is a new addition, a new alien this season, starting 7th, Stephen Aguiar 8th, Kyle Souza 9th, and Seth Silverio, last week's winner at Dega, currently in the 10th place, but I should say starting in the 10th place position. Ken Caruthers 11th, Corey Smith 12th, Kevin Whitaker 13th, Paul D. Johnson 14th, Josh Bachman 15th, Dow Robertson 16th, Brandon Walter 17th, 64 Michael Knight GRG driver 18th, the 79 of Joshua Witherspoon, that's Joshua Witherspoon 19th, and Jeffrey Ford in the 20th place spot. The 21, Trevor White starting 21st. We have David Dreckman 22nd, Rob Thomas 23rd, Stephen Mattox 24th, Cotton Lane 25th. We have John LaBeouf Eric Roberts, Rory Collins, Brendan Chatley, Ronald McManus, rounding up the rest of the field, giving us about 28 to 29 drivers starting tonight's race here tonight. The established traffic control round 5 of 13. Precision Racing League American Iracing Sunday Series. Well, Precision Racing League American Iracing Sunday Series brought to you by AmSoil. So check them out at amsoil.com. And we are now rolling here behind the pace car for the first time with the help of 15 of Christian Swenson. Gen X Racing driver here, the pole sitter, with the help of 51 of Yankins to his right. Going around this 1 mile track for 135 laps. A lot needs to be done, a long way to go. The pace car dips off as we speak, and Swenson still holding pace speed. Everybody getting bunched up nice and tight, nice and strong. Exiting 4. The green flag is out, and Swenson finds the gas, but a bad wheel spin by Swenson, and that wheel spin is going to cost him the caution flies here before the entrance to turn number 1. We're going to back it up, a very, very quick caution here. Going to see what happened. Oh, absolutely, man. Yes, that was some very, very deadly wheel spin. Yeah, we had 2 drivers there that had some deadly wheel spin. Namely the 22. The 22, that was 23. Craig Hawkins, including the 15 of Christian Swenson there. Yeah, it's very unfortunate for all drivers involved, especially 88 of Smallwood, one of our heaviest contenders so far this season. He was going to spend some time on pit road to get some of that damage fixed, because, ladies and gentlemen, no backup cars, no quick fixes, no fast repairs in the PRL American Iracing Sunday Series. Oh man, that's very unfortunate for Smallwood. But going back up front, we are being led by 51 of Yankins, and yes, Yankins was able to take the race lead away out from the 15 of Swenson due to Swenson's bad race start after that deadly wheel spin. So great job to 51 of Yankins on leading the first lap and leading this far with 3 laps in the updated top 10 this far. Joseph Yankins, Christian Swenson, James O'Brien, Ian Lane, Craig Hawkins, Stephen Aguiar, Kyle Souza, Seth Silverio, Paul D. Johnson, and Richard Regan Jr. And so far here with 3 laps in, we have 1 driver new to the top 10, and that's the 14 of Paul D. Johnson from 14th place to 9th. And 88 of Smallwood going down pit road as we speak. Oh man, the Hellman's machine, that Camaro has seen better days. The back end is beat up, and so is the front end. And unfortunately, the most damage seems to be on the front. Well, it's pretty much even. I can't really compare the front and the back, but it's all pretty beat up from my point of view. And a lot of drivers behind the pace car wanting to get 1 lap back, the wave around, because the caution caught them at a very, very bad place. So we have David Dreckman, Trevor White, Rob Thomas, Brendan Chatley, Colton Lane, John LaBeouf, Rory Collins, Ronald McManus, Joshua Witherspoon, and Stephen Mattox, all behind the pace car and all ahead of the leaders. Here, Joseph Yankins and the rest of the crew. So they'll begin the wave round once the lights on the pace car turn off to go 1 to green. And the third place driver here, road trip racing driver, James O'Brien here. James O'Brien, ladies and gentlemen, is a 3-time PRL champion, trying to go for his 4th win this season. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see him try to get that. Oh, I should say in this case, maintain his throne from last season, his title, because he is the season 8 champion. And this season's defending champion, once again, 3-time champion James O'Brien, going for his 4th. So it's going to be a very, very interesting, road trip for James. And the caution extended 1 lap by race control. Yeah, this track is very, very quick. So the drivers who are getting the wave around the pace car would not have made it in time to be behind the back of the pack. For the green flag to fly. So here the caution has been extended, but everybody behind the pace car did get the wave round, and everything's back to normal. We're coming up to 1 to green as we speak. Yes, the lights of the pace car do turn off. We are 1 to green. Youngkins here on the inside with the help of 9 of James O'Brien. Outside line being led by 15 of Christian Swenson, our post-hitter tonight, with the help of the 98 of Ian Lane. And some terrible, terrible news, ladies and gentlemen, here with 6 laps in. We have lost one of the fastest drivers this season, the 88 of Smallwood, due to the incident on the restart, unfortunately. I mean, on the start in this case. So hopefully we see him again back next week for round 6 at Kansas Speedway. Just like we had seen, ladies and gentlemen, you can get that wheel spin even on new tires. So the drivers have to be on their A game. At the same time, they might have to ride a gear higher here, and the caution flies. The green flag flies, I should say. And the 51 of Yankans gets a very good lead against 15 of Christian Swenson. We are green flag racing. Lap 7 of 135. Round 5 of 13. Season number 9. The established traffic control brought to you by the American Iracing Sunday series. AMSOIL, specializing in synthetic lubricants for vehicles and equipment. Check them out at amsoi.com. And they are the first in synthetics. Already drivers making moves. 23 of Craig Hawkins just got around the 8 of Stephen Aguiar. And Stephen Aguiar now losing spots left and right. He's doing his usual strategy early on in the race where he just backs off, lets the faster traffic by. Oh, the caution flies again here on lap 9. You can see what happened. Oh yeah, from further investigation, the 22 of Richard Regan, his left front did end up tapping the apron, which sent that machine sideways, front end downwards, and the back end up the track. He tried saving it, but there was not enough room to make it, not enough time. He actually had some assistance too from the rear, from the 3 of Dale Robertson, who had nowhere to go. And the speed difference was great, way too great, but that's still very unfortunate for the drivers involved in that. And Robertson, as we speak here, going down pit road with the rest of the pack. Yep, the leader Yankans is going to lead them down pit road, and they all follow. Yep, Dale Robertson's Camaro. The Amsoil, the first in synthetics machine, has seen better days. The front end is beat up due to that contact, so he's going to spend a little bit of time on pit road, letting his pit crew work on the machine, because once again, no quick fixes. '51 of Joseph Yankans is going to be able to maintain the lead off pit road this time around. And coming out behind him is Christian Swenson, James O'Brien 3rd, Ian Lane 4th, and Seth Silverio in the 5th place spot. Well, scratch that. Seth Silverio seems to be getting sent to the end of the longest line. Looks like he might have either gotten caught speeding on pit road, and that does send you to the back of the pack, but he did come out 5th off pit road. But unfortunately, going to the back of the pack to pretty much dead last. And some more bad news, we have lost another driver. That is the 22 of Richard Regan Jr. Unfortunately, we look forward to seeing this driver back next week for Kansas, round 6. And ladies and gentlemen, this season is a 20-week race season. 20 races, 20 weeks. In the regular race season, we have 13 races in the regular race season, followed by a 7-race chase series. So at this point, we have eliminated or knocked out 4 of the 13 races, which means we have 9 more races left. Well, if after this race tonight, I will end up having 8 races left in the regular race season before the chase begins, and that chase will be 7 races long. So every single driver trying to get themselves locked in into the chase. And this is the Established Traffic Control. The race is sponsored by the Established Traffic Control. This is part of the Precision Racing League AMSOIL American Iracing Sunday series. That's AMSOIL AMSOIL, specializing in synthetic lubricants for vehicles and equipment. And they are the first in synthetics. Check them out at amsoil.com. That's AMSOIL.com. And in the process as well, check out the PRL at PrecisionRacingLeague.com. They have a lot to offer: road racing, oval racing, so you guys can join any of that based on experience and preference. So once again, that's PrecisionRacingLeague.com. We are now back 1 to green, still being led by 51 of Joseph Yankans with the help of the 9 of James O'Brien. Outside line being led by Christian Swenson with the help of 98 of Ian Lane. This is the same restart we had during the last one. We are going green this time around. So like I said, for the drivers to avoid that deadly wheel spin, they might have to launch in a gear higher. So some might usually launch in second, might end up going into third. In this case, I'm sure most of them are launching into third at this point, trying to avoid spinning out. But the pace car here dips off, and Yankans immediately finds that gas. But a 15 of Swenson sees it coming in time to maintain second place against James O'Brien. The green flag finally flies, and now the top 3 drivers get a commanding lead against everybody else behind. Oh man, the 15 of Swenson tapped the wall off the exit of turn number 2, and that does cause James O'Brien to ride his rear view, ride his bumper. And James O'Brien so far just trying to buy his time, trying to just follow Swenson to catch up to 51 of Yankans. For the back in the pack, a driver high and dry. That is the 8 of Steven Aguiar, a new Gen X racing driver here on the outside line. Going on the inside is the 77 of Ken Caruthers, and now the 99 of Brandon Walter. Steven Aguiar going to the back of the pack, just trying to buy his time and stay alive. So ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, and for those of you that might not have known this, but the PRL this season, the Precision Racing League, has a sponsor. The sponsor is the Transdo Transport and Logistics. And what Transdo Transport and Logistics is doing is they'll be giving the safest driver $75 at the end of the season. That's the cleanest driver, well, the driver with the cleanest driving record at the end of the race season will be receiving $75. But the driver has to race at least 16 of the 20 races. At the same time, they must complete 75% of each race they race. So once again, the Transdo Cup, brought to you by Transdo Transport and Logistics. And I brought that up because the 8 of Steven Aguiar definitely going for the Transdo Cup. The $75, an amazing paycheck. At the end of the season, a driver gets loose off the exit of 4. That was the 00 of Kyle Souza. Kyle Souza goes to the apron to let the faster traffic by. As a result, he goes from the front of the pack to the back of the pack, just like that. One man's mistake is another man's benefit. One driver's mistake is another man's benefit. So at this point here, well, in this case, in all races, everybody pretty much just hopes for the worst for each other. Oh, I hear a big loud boom in the back. Green flag is still out. I see Ron McManus off the racing surface. Oh yes, Ronald McManus seemed to have blown his motor. Oh yep, Ronald McManus did end up blowing his motor in between turn number 4. Oh, and turn 1, and the machine is now just rolling, trying to make it down a pit road. That's very unfortunate. And scanning Ronald McManus' machine, he did not seem to have any front-end damage on that machine. So therefore, there was no air restriction or airflow restriction to the motor to cool it. So it looks like he might have been running maybe way too much tape, and that did end up blowing up. But the caution flies this time around. Gonna see what happened. Oh man, yeah, that's very unfortunate for all drivers involved, especially 59 of Brandon Chatley getting some heavy, in this case, serious damage on that machine. The left side, the right side, the rear end, the front end, and some scratches somehow on the roof of it. But he was going to spend some time on pit road trying to get that damage fixed. And looking at that incident again here from my point of view, looks like Brendan Chatley and John LaBeouf had the exact same difficulty entering turn number 1. The machines got tight on them, and they ended up, actually they got loose, looks like, and that did end up shooting them up the track once they tried to save those machines, and that caused that chain reaction. We have lost 2 drivers this caution, Ronald McManus, and just Ronald McManus, unfortunately, here, retiring early on, with only a few laps in. And as we speak, everybody on pit road except for the 59 of Chatley. But here off pit road, Yankan's able to maintain the lead. Coming out behind him is James O'Brien. Third place is Christian Swenson. Craig Hawkins 4th, and Ian Lane in the 5th place spot, rounding up the top 5. It's been a very, very rough start for most of these drivers. I mean, some of these drivers, because we've already lost 3 drivers here with 24 laps in. But we look forward to seeing all these drivers back again next week for round 6 at Kansas Speedway. And also, ladies and gentlemen, for those who might have forgotten, or those who might not know, that we do run open setups here with the PRL American Iracing Sunday series since last season. With that said, we've seen a lot of drivers having different reactions with these machines. Basically, their machines are reacting differently. We've seen some drivers who are loose, some are tight, and also some having some wheel spin on the starts and restarts. So with that said, those setups do make a difference, and we've lost one more driver, 911 of John LaBeouf as well, retiring early on. So 4 drivers lost here in the first 25 laps. Unfortunate. And ladies and gentlemen, so much time and effort goes into making these, coming up with these setups. These drivers get together on a weekly basis, sometimes even on a daily basis, to get the machines to where they want them, because they do run different tracks every single day. Last week we came from Talladega, a totally different beast. And tonight, Dover International, we are now back 1 to green, still being led by Joseph Yankins, who this far has led the most laps, pretty much led every single lap this far. He has the help of the 15 of Christian Swenson, outside line being led by the 9 of James O'Brien, with the help of Old School's driver, 23 of Craig Hawkins. Entering for the pace car, dips off, and Yankins immediately gets on that pedal, and that does catch James O'Brien off guard. The green flag is finally out, and James O'Brien bumps down 1 spot by Swenson for the 2nd place spot, and now Swenson trailing his teammate 51 of Yankins for the 1st place spot. And for the back in the pack, we have the 41 of Josh Bachman catching up to Craig Hawkins at a fast rate. And so far here with 27 laps in, we have about 3 more, in this case 4 drivers new to the top 10. That's 4 new drivers in the top 10, namely Josh Bachman from 15th to 6th, Paul D. Johnson 14th to 7th, Ken Caruthers 11th to 9th, and Brandon Walter from 17th to 10th. And as we were speaking there, a driver loose off of 4. That was James O'Brien. Got sideways off turn 4, sideways enough to lose momentum. That Craig Hawkins is now side by side with him off the exit of 2. Ladies and gentlemen, passing is very, very difficult. You have to set up your opponent the right way to make it stick. And as we speak, James O'Brien on the inside is still fighting, and finally able to clear Craig Hawkins, who decided to just let off and avoid causing trouble. Well, in this case, not really trouble, but if he ended up battling that much for that long, he would have ended up burning up his stuff and most likely lost more spots to maybe Ian Lane, Josh Bachman, and Paul Johnson. Speaking of Paul D. Johnson, road trip racing driver, is in this mix right behind that 41 of Josh Bachman. These drivers have a need for speed. They do want to get to the front. They do want to lead some laps here tonight. But it's going to be very difficult for them to get past these other machines. And the reason being, with the caliber of drivers we have in the PRL, everybody has to work for it. Basically, it doesn't come easy. It does not come easy. Early on in the race, we had Steven Aguiar going to the back of the pack with every single run. But now he seems to have settled down in the 8th place spot between Paul D. Johnson and Ken Caruthers. And Ken Caruthers had some bad luck last week at Talladega, but he is back tonight with his head high, his foot down to the floor, and his 4 wheels on the racing surface. His machine does push way too tight, way too wide off the exit of 4. And now water all over his inside as we speak. Brandon Walter to the inside of Caruthers. They're still side by side of the exit of turn number 2. Walter able to get around Ken Caruthers, and that bumps Caruthers down to 10th place and Walter up to 9th. And up front, Josh Bachman is going at it with the 14 of Paul D. Johnson. They were side by side, but back down in a single file, able to maintain the spots they were respectively in. And that is 14 of Johnson in 7th place, and Bachman in 6th. Has Aguiar going against Paul Johnson as we speak, side by side. Josh Bachman to the inside of 23 of Craig Hawkins, side by side. They go slingshot, engaged by Hawkins off the exit of 4, and he clears successfully, and he's able to maintain the 5th place spot. Bachman leaves his inside open, and Johnson tries to poke it in, but not enough room to make it, or not enough momentum to make it, and is able to maintain 7th place for now. For the back in the pack, we have a cluster being formed. We have Dale Robertson in this mix. We have Brendan Chatley and 21 of Trevor White. So far, Brendan Chatley is all over the rear view of Trevor White. And at this point, without a doubt, White is feeling that pressure. And also Chatley, despite his heavy damage, still rolling. Rolling and taking names off the exit of 4. He loses speed and momentum. He had to lift to avoid drifting up into the 21 of White. Off the exit of 2, White falls short, and the 59 of Chatley goes to his inside and gets around him. At the same time, Chatley is bringing the 3 of Robertson with him, and that does mean 21 of White just lost 2 spots there in one turn to both Chatley and Robertson. And Rory Collins as well is now in this mix in the 24th place spot. Well, now 23rd, got around 21 of Trevor White. So far, Trevor White is getting freight train overtaken left and right with every single lap. Seems like he's trying to settle down. And going a little bit up front in the 13th place spot, we have 95 of Jeffrey Ford. Jeffrey Ford, let's talk much of Jeffrey Ford here tonight. But Jeffrey Ford here currently in between the 60 of Colton Lane and the 5 of Kevin Whitaker. And right now, Jeffrey Ford's next victim is 60 of Colton Lane for 12th place. And Jeffrey Ford here tonight, rocking a new, well-dressed paint scheme. That's a Ford Mustang there. That's the the U.S. Border Patrol. That is a tribute, or in this case a memorial paint scheme. It has the name Lewis on the back. That is, yep, Lewis. So we're gonna actually ask him about that paint scheme, but that's a well-dressed machine by Ford. And right behind Jeffrey Ford, we have David Dreckman, N79 of Joshua Witherspoon. Witherspoon has been keeping a low profile here this far, 44 laps in, and so far trying to buy his time, just taking while he can, and not really forcing any issues in between Dreckman and Smith. And up front, 60 of Cotton Lane just lost one spot to the 5 of Kevin Whitaker. And now Whitaker's next victim is 77 of Ken Caruthers for 11th place. And a big cluster here as well in the mid-pack, where he's actually in the top 10. It's going to include Steven Aguiar, Brandon Walter, Josh Bachman, and the 81. That's 81 of Seth Silverio. Josh Bachman smacked the wall off the exit of turn 4. And still maintaining the spot again. Well, not quite. He lost speed and momentum. And is going to settle down in the 8th place spot behind the 81 of Seth. Well, so far he has 99 of Water to his inside. Oh man, as a result of Bachman smacking that wall like he did, he just went from the 7th place spot to 10th place. Just that one lap. And we have lost another driver, ladies and gentlemen. The 18 of Steven Mattox retiring early on here in tonight's race. We look forward to seeing this driver again back next week for Kansas, round 6. And going back up front, we are still being led by 51 of Joseph Youngkins, Christian Swenson second, and these two drivers are together. Well, by together I mean they are working together for a common good. So far they stuck around, they've stuck together this far in the race, and they are about 0.8 of a second ahead of 3rd place driver James O'Brien. In turn, they are 3.1 seconds ahead of 4th place driver Ian Lane. So they are pulling away. Ladies and gentlemen, some drivers are short run drivers and some are long run drivers. So with that said here, so far Youngkins and Swenson here proving to be long run drivers. What short run drivers mean? Basically, ladies and gentlemen, that means that the drivers might be fast in the short run, which might be maybe, let's say, the first 10 to 20 laps, but then after that, those laps are over, they might end up falling off the pace, way off the pace. But the long run drivers stay consistent pretty much all run long. So here so far we do see a lot of the field spreading out. For example, going for the back in the pack, we have Paul D. Johnson about 4 seconds behind the leaders. Then Craig Hawkins in the 6th place spot about 6 seconds behind the leaders. And he keeps going further down from there. And speaking of Craig Hawkins goes all the way high. 81 of Seth gets to his inside, gets around him off the exit of turn number 2. And now here Craig Hawkins in between Silverio and Brandon Walter in the 7th place spot. And also keep in mind again, the drivers having open setups means they can tweak their machines as they go. So ladies and gentlemen, the drivers are testing their machines as we speak. They do keep track of how the machine's handling with every single lap. Therefore, they can make the necessary changes to better themselves in the next run that they'll have after they go down pit road. So that's the beauty of having open setups. Oh man, we've lost one more driver, 21 of Trevor White. A very, very rough race for a lot of drivers. Monster Mayo is really getting in that work tonight. Craig Hawkins going at it with a 99 of Brandon Walter here. Craig Hawkins with the outside, Walter on the inside, and off the exit of turn 2. Walter lets off the gas as his machine was pushing up into Craig Hawkins. And to avoid causing trouble, he let off, but looks like entering turn 3. Hawkins went way too wide, and back side by side they go on the front stretch. What I've noticed here is in this long run, Craig Hawkins is trying to get the outside line to work. Actually, looks like he gets around Walter and goes back down. He actually is riding the middle to, he was riding the outside to middle lane, but he was losing some time, so he ended up going back to middle and low lane. So he's pretty much changing up his race groove as he goes, but then as I say that, he goes all the way up high between turns number 1 and 2. Yep, we're going to be seeing a lot of that here all race long, all night long tonight. Drivers changing up their race grooves with every single lap. And as we speak behind Hawkins, some side by side between the 5 of Whitaker and 99 of Walter. And Whitaker is not alone, he's bringing his teammate with him, 8 of Steven Aguiar. So we have Gen X drivers here, Steven Aguiar and Kevin Whitaker. We have Road Trip Racing, Brandon Walter, and Old Schools Motorsports, Craig Hawkins in this mix. 3 teams going at it, going against each other. Oh, no contact between Walter and Whitaker. Oh, Walter saves it, but did Whitaker save it? Yes, Whitaker saved it, and we are still green flag racing. Oh man, yeah, that was almost ugly, but nice save by both drivers. And Kevin Whitaker getting the worst end of that deal, having to slow down tremendously and losing time. So his speed, momentum, and a couple of spots to go with it. And a new viewer in the chat, we have Timothy P. I believe that is, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that Timothy Petito? For the back in the pack, 79 of Josh Witherspoon, currently in the 15th place spot ahead of Michael Knight. And Michael Knight is all over his rear view, all over his back bumper, and now to the inside he tries to go against him. But Knight doesn't have enough time to make it stick. And for now he just rides in the 16th place spot. But off turn number 4, Knight gets a better run off the turn against Witherspoon, but Witherspoon is still able to maintain the 15th place spot. Oh, yes indeed, that is Timothy Petito. It's been a very, very long time. Timothy, hope you're doing well, man. It's been a long time. It is great to see you again, man. It's great to see you. And focusing here still on Michael Knight. Michael Knight now successfully gets around 79 of Witherspoon. They're gonna go back side by side though. But then exiting turn number 4, Witherspoon ends up falling short. Yes, he falls short, but now he has a new threat in his rear view. And that is 00 of Kyle Souza. We've got Wallet Racer in the chat. Welcome to the Online Sim Racing Network there, Wallet Racer. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing well. And Wallet Racer cheering on the 0-0 of Kyle Souza helped him build that set. Yeah, that setup is doing well. Mine is doing great this far here in the race. And yeah, that was unfortunate, the incident he got caught up in. But it is still rolling here so far behind 79 of Witherspoon in the 17th place spot. And ladies and gentlemen, we had our first green flag pit stop take place, and that was by 33 of David Dreckman 2 laps ago, and he spent 15.2 seconds on pit road. So that might mean more drivers might follow his lead and come down pit road, but so far the leaders up front now catching up to the back of the pack, and their next victim is 35 of Rory Collins. David Dreckman battling the leader up front, 51 of Yankans, and Dreckman is on newer stickers, fresh tires, and he gets around Yankans and successfully gets one lap back the hard way. Congrats to David Dreckman. And Yankans gets around 35 of Rory Collins, and now Rory Collins here one lap down. And here that now officially gives us only 19 drivers on the lead lap. Here with 72 laps complete and 64 laps remaining. Oh, copy that. I remember you, Wallet Racer. Now that you mention it, Cody Nuttmiller's crew chief. That was a heck of a season. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here this far we are now actually halfway in. Yes, we've crossed the halfway mark, 73 laps in with 63 laps remaining. With that said, we're going to take our first commercial break of the evening. We'll be right back, so please stay tuned.
Don't let your first date be your last. Visit People Against Distracted Driving at PADD.org.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Established Traffic Control. That's Established Traffic Control, Round 5 of 13, Precision Racing League AmSoil American Iracing Sunday Series, brought to you by AmSoil, specializing in synthetic lubricants for vehicles and equipment, and they are the first in synthetics, so check them out at amsoil.com. And going back to the race, ladies and gentlemen, we are under caution. We had some green flag pit stops taking place here when the caution had flown. I'm not sure if we can catch that on replay. Can we, Dave?
Yeah, we're watching it right now. Looks like it might have been a little contact between Ken Caruthers and the 10 of Corey Smith. I got Ken Caruthers a little bit out of shape up into the outside wall. That is going to be our fourth caution here tonight.
Oh, 10-4, that's very unfortunate for the drivers involved in that. And also, like I mentioned, we had some drivers who were on pit road as that caution flew, and that's a bad thing for those drivers. But now, at this point, we have the majority of the field already got a chance to go down pit road under green flag conditions. But due to that caution coming out, we only have 5 drivers on the lead lap. So the drivers who still need to pit in include Christian Swenson, Michael Knight, Coton Lane, Kyle Souza, Josh Witherspoon, Rory Collins. These 6 drivers still need to pit in, and Swenson leading them down pit road as we speak. And ladies and gentlemen, going back to PRL, check them out, PrecisionRacingLeague.com. They have a lot to offer. You guys can join their road series, their different road series, I should say, with multi-class racing, and also their oval series. They have a track series as well as this, the B car series. So check them out, PrecisionRacingLeague.com. And you're not going to be disappointed. And also keep in mind, they do cap their fields at 36 drivers maximum, and you have to race your way in as well before the season begins for the Oval Series. And here, as we speak, we have Swenson, who had a 14.3 second pit stop, and off pit road he went. But Josh Witherspoon stayed out. Yep, Josh Witherspoon stayed out, and at this point has 61 laps since his last pit stop, and that's the same with 35 of Rory Collins, and most likely will be going down pit road this time. Yep, as expected, Josh Witherspoon going down pit road as we speak. Same with Rory Collins. Yep, 61 laps on tires would not have been a good thing for them to go against the drivers who have fresh stickers, in this case less than 10 laps since their pit stops. And here scanning the field, the driver who had the fastest, actually we had 2 drivers tied for the fastest green flag pit stop. That included Joseph Yunkins, including Ian Lane. So both Ian Lane and Joseph Yunkins both had a 14-second pit stop flat. Actually, we had 2 drivers who were faster than they did off pit road, and that was Paul D. Johnson with a 13.9-second pit stop. Actually, yeah, that was just Paul D. Johnson. So Paul Johnson had the fastest pit stop there on during green flag conditions, then followed by the 2 tied drivers, Joseph Yunkins and Ian Lane. Well, the updated top 10 this far: Christian Swenson in the lead, Kyle Souza second, Michael Knight third, Rory Collins fourth, Joshua Witherspoon fifth, Cotton Lane sixth, Joseph Youngkin seventh, James O'Brien eighth, Paul D. Johnson ninth, and Ian Lane rounding up the top 10. And Cotton Lane with the Rim Riding Racing team. I haven't seen much of him here in the top 10. He did start in the 25th place spot and is currently being shown in the 6th place spot as we are now back one to green, and everybody who was behind the pace car did get waved around. And we are still being led by Christian Swenson with the help of Rory Collins on the inside. Outside line being led by Michael Knight with the help of 79 of Joshua Witherspoon. And Michael Knight's left front is beat up, but hopefully it is still able to keep up. Well, if anything, the machine's gonna suffer in rotation, but otherwise he should be okay. Pace car dips off and Swenson finds that pedal. Everybody caught sleeping, and Michael Knight still somehow able to maintain second place against Rory Collins, who lost a spot, actually 2 spots, to both Cotton Lane and Witherspoon, entering turn number 1 or before turn 1. And now Collins again going a position down to the 0 of Kyle Souza, and that bumps Rory Collins down to 6th in less than a lap. He gets taken 3 wide by David Dreckman. Whoa, man, actually looks like Rory Collins is trying to go to the back of the pack, just trying to get back there and buy his time and ride and stay alive and maybe get a chance at getting that Transdo Cup. The $75 going to the cleanest driver at the end of the season. I do not blame him one bit. So great job to Rory Collins if that's his intention. And here at 98 of Ian Lane, currently the first driver 1 lap down in the 10th place spot. So this far we have 9 drivers on the lead lap. And ladies and gentlemen, with the drivers pitting in that last caution, that means they'll be able to make it the rest of the way this far. So we have 89 laps complete and 46 laps remaining in tonight's race. And the machine I was having doubts about, 64 of Michael Knight, is still doing an amazing job keeping Swenson the leader in sight. So far they are about 0.2 of a second apart. At the same time they have a second away. I mean, they are both a second away from the 3rd place driver Witherspoon in 79. 60 of Cotton Lane just went a position down to the 81 of Seth Silverio. Actually, scratch that. Seth Silverio is 1 lap down, so no harm done to Cotton Lane. For the back in the pack, 23 of Craig Hawkins and Dale Robertson have found each other. And Dale Robertson here trying to get around Craig Hawkins. So ladies and gentlemen, we have about 8 to 10 drivers a lap down going for the lucky dog. So namely Ian Lane, Seth Silverio, Kevin Whitaker, Brandon Walter, Jeffrey Ford, Stephen Aguiar, Josh Bachman, Craig Hawkins, Dale Robertson, and Corey Smith. All these drivers 1 lap down and racing for the lucky dog. So they are hoping for a caution so they can be able to get their lap back and be back on the lead lap with everybody else. That's a lot of drivers a lap down and a lot of competition for the lucky dog at the same time. And in this case, the driver in the seat for the lucky dog, if a caution were to come out this time, is the 98 of Cotton Lane. And going back up front, something must have happened between 64 of Knight, well, to 64 of Michael Knight in this case, because last time we checked, Michael Knight was about 0.2 of a second away from the leader Swenson, but now he's 2 seconds behind the leader Christian Swenson. At the same time, he has Kyle Souza right behind him, and Kyle Souza is coming up to him at a fast rate. Everybody out there, ladies and gentlemen, well, most of them out there trying to lock themselves into the upcoming chase in the next 8 races. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is round 5 of 13 once again, and that is 13 races in the regular race season, followed by a 7-race chase series for a total of 20 races in the season total, as they all try and go against the 3-time champion here, PRL 9 of James O'Brien, road trip racing driver. And speaking of road trip racing, ladies and gentlemen, road trip racing was the team that won the team championship standings last season. So this season here, the drivers here trying to do the exact same thing, trying to go at it for the team championships. And as it stands, we have Gen X Racing leading in the team standings. Gen X2 team is right behind the Gen X Racing team in second place. Road Trip Racing, last season's team champions for season number 8, in the 3rd place spot so far. GRG 4th in points. Rim Riding Racing 5th place in points. Old Schools Motorsports 6th place in points. Ironic Sim Racing 7th place in points. No Fear Racing 8th place in points. And Breaking Point Racing 9th place in points. So that's Gen X Racing, Gen X2, Road Trip Racing, GRG, Rim Riding Racing, Old Schools Motorsports, Ironic Sim Racing, No Fear Racing, and Breaking Point Racing. That's 1st through 9th place respectively in the team championships. And we just lost the 23 of Craig Hawkins here, unfortunately. We look forward to seeing Craig Hawkins back next week for Kansas Speedway. And ladies and gentlemen, a new season sponsor this season, season number 9, PRL, the AMSOIL, that's AMSOIL, specializing in synthetic lubricants for vehicles and equipment. That's specializing in synthetic lubricants for vehicles and equipment, and that is AMSOIL.com. So check them out, they are the first in synthetics. And going back here to the race, we have the 6-0 of Cotton Lane. Cotton Lane catching up to 79 of Witherspoon at the exact same time. Lane has the 5 of Whitaker right behind him. That's Whitaker right behind him. I haven't spoken much of Whitaker here tonight, if any. But Whitaker did win the first 2 races here in the race season with PRL and trying to go for his 3rd. We have 33 of David Dreckman. David Dreckman here currently ahead of 35 of Rory Collins. Looks like Rory Collins was running him down, but once he got to him, he ended up, the gap ended up just pretty much staying consistent and increasing and decreasing, just pretty much fluctuating up and down as the race progresses, as this run progresses lap after lap in this case. And now 29 laps left in the race. And so far, a little bit of a pack here for 3 drivers: Josh Witherspoon, Seth Silverio, and also the 98 of Ian Lane. Seth Silverio here had a rough little incident there that was caused by the caution that had flown, caught him off guard on pit road while he under green flag conditions, and that's exactly why he's a lap down with Ian Lane, Kevin Walter, Brennan Walter, Kevin Whitaker, Brennan Walter, Stephen Aguiar, Jeff Ford, Josh Bachman, Dale Robertson, and Corey Smith, all a lap down due to the caution catching them while they were on pit road. That was a very, very bad time for them, but the drivers who came out of that successfully were Michael Knight, Christian Swenson, Kyle Souza, Josh Yankins, Joseph Yankins, Josh Witherspoon, Colton Lane, James O'Brien, Paul Johnson, and Rory Collins. And going back up front to Christian Swenson. Swenson now has a 5.2 second lead against second place driver Kyle Souza. At the same time, Swenson might start catching up to the back of the pack. And so far, his first victim will be the 10 of Corey Smith. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with only 23 laps left in the race, we're going to take our final commercial break of the evening. We'll be right back, so please stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the established traffic control. That's the established traffic control right here live on the online sim racing network. This is round 5 of 13. Precision Racing League AMSOIL American Iracing Sunday Series. That's Precision Racing League AMSOIL American Iracing Sunday Series. That's AMSOIL. And check them out. They do specialize in synthetic lubricants for vehicles and equipment. AMSOIL.com. And they are the first in synthetics. Well, ladies and gentlemen, also check out the PRL at PrecisionRacingLeague.com. They have a lot to offer, and you will not be disappointed. But going back to the race, we are still green flag racing, still being led by Christian Swenson, who now has a 6-second lead flat against second place driver Joseph Youngkins. This far we have 125 laps complete, and at this point we have 11 laps left in the race. It is go time, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody going for it. And the closest drivers we have for position here is between Michael Knight and Kyle Souza. We have Souza currently in 3rd place, Knight in the 4th place spot, and Michael Knight is making his presence known in the rear view of Souza. And he's letting it known that if Souza makes a mistake, he's going to benefit from it greatly. But second place driver Joseph Youngkins seems to be running down Christian Swenson. He just gained 0.3 of a second in the last 2 laps. They are from the same team, but they're still going to go against each other when it comes down to it. And so far, Youngkins having that clean air, and so is Swenson. And so far, we have only 9 drivers on the lead lap. And for the back in the pack, 41 of Josh Bachman has his eyes on the prize. And so far it's 60 of Cotton Lane. Well, Cotton Lane is the one separate. He's the only thing between him and the 99 of Walter for position number 15. Yep, so both drivers, Brandon Walter and Josh Bachman, a lap down, going at it for the 15th place spot. And Dale Robertson on pit road as we speak. Five laps to go, 5 laps to go. That means the next flag ends the race, ladies and gentlemen. Next flag ends the race. And with 5 laps to go, we have a 5.8 second gap between the top 2 drivers, Christian Swenson and Joseph Youngkins. And Kyle Souza is still under fire from 64 of Michael Knight here as we speak. They were side by side, but then back down, single file. So here the rim riding racing and GRG drivers, Kyle Souza and 64 of Michael Knight still going at it here with now 3 laps to go. And for the back in the pack we have James O'Brien and Paul D. Johnson, who finally found each other again. The road trip racing drivers 5th and 6th respectively. They might go at it here before too long. Now 2 laps to go, 2 laps to go. The next flag is the white flag. '81 of Seth Silveria going at it against 64 of Michael Knight, and that's actually affecting Michael Knight negatively because he was going at it against the reserve Kyle Souza for position number 3 of turn 4. Knight falls short. 81 of Seth Silver gets around him, and the white flag is now out. White flag is out here as we have Swenson bringing it home and challenged off the exit of turn number 4. Yep, Swenson brings this thing home. He wins tonight's race. They established traffic control round 5 of 13 at Dover. Great job to Christian Swenson by Christian Swenson. Second place driver is Joseph Yankans. Third place driver Kyle Souza. Michael Knight 4th, and James O'Brien rounding up the top 5. Well, ladies and gentlemen, top 3 interviews coming up. Christian Swenson, Joseph Yankans, and Kyle Souza. So please stay tuned.
You
Yeah,
can do
thank
burnouts,
you guys.
Christian?
Good run. What?
You can do burnouts?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, joining us up in the booth are the top 3 drivers. We have Christian Swenson, Joseph Yankans, and Kyle Souza. Swenson burns that sucker down. Great burnout. We're going to start with tonight's race. Winner 15 of Christian Swenson, having his first win of the season right here for round 5 at Dover. You got to come up there, Christian.
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, guys?
Good, how are you?
I'm awesome.
Oh man, I can imagine in the beginning, man, you had some bad luck, had a bad start, where you lost your spot immediately to the 51 of Yankans. Your own teammate had some very, very deadly wheel spin. And actually, I should ask this question, man. You had wheel spin on the first lap. We can understand that was, you still had fresh stickers, the freshest stickers there was, but then the track state might not have been the greatest. But then after that, you did not seem to have any difficulty on the next upcoming restarts. What was going on that start?
Well, we are expected to start on a green flag on the first start, so the concrete's really clean on the front stretch, so if you get on the gas too hard, the car will snap on you. When we did the restarts coming off of turn 4, there's enough grip coming off the corner that you can get in the throttle a little harder, so you get a cleaner restart.
Oh, copy. That does make a lot of sense. Well, we're glad that you were able to, still save it and stay up front despite that little misfortune. And man, all race long tonight, you were very, very dominant. You were the fastest driver in the long run. Finishing tonight's race, you did finish 6.8 seconds against Joseph Yankans. What was your strategy tonight that worked so well?
Well, I was trying to channel my inner Kevin Harvick today, I guess. The old saying, it says, I'd rather be lucky than good. That's pretty much what happened. Right around lap 80, Joseph and I decided we were going to come in on a green flag pit stop, and he was able to make it in, and James O'Brien came out of the pits, and he had a run on me on the bottom, so I wasn't able to go in, and I came in a little hot on the next lap, and I missed pit entrance, and so I had to come back out on the racetrack, and as soon as I did, the yellow flag came out, which put me the only person on the lead lap, and everybody else was a lap down.
Oh man, I'm very glad that you were able to work things out despite their little bit of misfortune there in the middle. But man, that was still a heck of a race on your parts tonight, and most importantly, you were able to get yourself a spot in the chase.
Yes.
So man, from now on, does that mean you're gonna lay back and just sit back, or you still gonna race hard?
Oh, no. I'm going to keep pushing. It's the only way I'm going to get better. I really had a tough race last week. Got wrecked out at the very beginning of the race, and I needed this race to come back and recover. And I worked really hard here this week, and I got to thank my teammates for helping me out with that.
Absolutely, man. Well, congrats on your success here tonight, and also congrats on locking yourself into the chase. And any final words before you go? Any final words?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out and watching the race tonight. I thank all the guys that are involved with PRL. I thank PRL and, of course, you guys at OSRN for broadcasting. I, of course, want to make a shout out to my team Gen X and also to our sponsor, AMSOIL, who's also the sponsor of the series.
Well, congrats once again on tonight's success there, Christian. Go celebrate and see you again on the exact same spot next week at Kansas. Have a good night. Go celebrate.
Thanks, guys.
That was a Gen X racing driver, Christian Swenson, having his first win right here at Dover. Next in line is a Gen X2 racing driver, Joseph Youngkins, one of the aliens tonight. Gonna go up there, Joseph.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
Well, buddy, we have missed you here for about 2 races. Well, last week included Talladega Super Speedway, but tonight you were able to bring your A++ game for a heck of a return. You did qualify in 2nd place and finishing right there in the 2nd place spot. How's the race tonight?
I was doing pretty good. I don't know what I got to do to win one of these things, but at least teammate Gen X won. So congratulations to Christian there. It was a fun race.
Oh, most definitely, man. And also, Joseph, we noticed you were able to stay very, very consistent all race long in tonight's race. How were you able to do that with so much pressure?
Just don't look in the mirror and hit your marks every lap. That was that first run. Christian and myself were right on top of one another, and it was really fun. It was pretty fun driving through the field, too, when I got cut into that yellow.
Oh, most definitely, man. Well, yeah, I also noticed that you're driving through the field and still saving tires in the process. Well, that was a heck of a recovery on your part, even though the caution there caught you at a very bad time there in between with your green flag pit stops, but still a success on your part here tonight. And we look forward to seeing you back again next week at Kansas. Well, in finals, where do you go?
Yep, I'd like to thank Gen X again. The setup was great. The cart felt great. And thank AMSOIL for sponsoring us. That's pretty cool. And thank you guys for the broadcast.
Well, congrats once again here, Joseph, on a heck of a comeback. And look forward to seeing you one spot higher next week at Kansas. Hopefully you get yourself a spot in the chase. Have a good night. Go celebrate.
You too, thanks.
That was Gen X2 driver Joseph Youngkins. But next in line is a rim riding racing driver. That is 00 Kyle Souza. Gonna come up there, Kyle?
I got you here, man.
How you doing tonight, man?
We started out, I was really down when we first started because that whole mess on the first start really killed my nose. It was bad from there on. I'm pretty thankful for a top 3, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, we did notice that, man, and it's just, besides that, you were still able to really battle these guys, man. You gave it all you had, and that machine ended up finishing here on the podium. And how did you feel the machine, the damage on the front end changed your machine's handling, if it did?
Well, probably around lap 20 or so, I really had to back out. I was running like 7th there or so, and I had to back out because the car started overheating really bad. I thought it was going to be okay, but iRacing logic really kills the front end. So luckily I got a caution, someone wrecked, and I was able to come down and take tape off. I had to drop the tape about 15%, so that really killed the downforce, and car was pretty tight from there on. I think I might have had something for Christian if I would have had a car that was in one piece, but hey, you know.
Oh man, yeah, that's a heck of an eventful race, man. But we're glad that you were able to keep those temps in check to avoid blowing it up and finishing way worse, finishing way down there. But man, that was a success on your part, and this now gives you finally your first top 5 and your first top 10. That's very, very impressive, Kyle. We look forward to seeing more of this from you. And next week we're shifting over to Kansas Speedway, man. Do you see yourself 2 spots higher at Kansas?
Well, first of all, before we get to Kansas, I just want to put a big thanks out to Nick Rogers. He was able to get behind the wheel and test for me and get a really, really good setup for here today. And I thought we had probably one of the best long-run cars. I made about 2 or 3 30-lap runs in practice and would have loved to see it out front. And I'm expecting the same thing for next week, a strong, fast, and probably pretty slick and slippery race next week at Kansas. But I'm hoping we can get a win.
Oh, copy that, brother. And also speaking of Nick Rogers, he was in the chat as Wallet Racer cheering you on. So he was here all race long, man. Congrats on your success tonight. And also we look forward to seeing you, just like you said, 2 spots higher next week, getting your first win, and also you're getting yourself locked into the chase. That would be something. Have a good night, buddy, and go celebrate.
10-4. Thank you and good night.
And that was a Rim Riding Racing driver, Kyle Souza, having his first top 5 and first top 10 right here at Dover. That was a heck of a race. He had a rough start, but the race picked up. He kept his head high, his foot on the floor, and his 4 wheels on the racing surface. And a great success indeed it was. That rounds up interviews. Christian Swenson, Gen X Racing, Joseph Yankans, Gen X2 team, and Kyle Souza, Rim Riding Racing, and Michael Knight, 4th place driver, GRG, and James O'Brien, Road Trip Racing, 1st through 5th respectively. Well, that was a heck of a race. The Established Traffic Control, brought to you by the Established Traffic Control, round 5 of 13, PRL American Iracing Sunday Series. That is AMSOIL. Well, Dave, any thoughts?
Yeah, it was a great race, a quick race, but we move on to Kansas, so we're going to tick down these races till the playoffs start.
Absolutely, man. Yep, round 6 next week at Kansas, ladies and gentlemen. So we now have 8 races left in the season, in the regular race season, before the chase begins. So that means only 8 more chances or opportunities for the drivers to get themselves locked in. Well, I am Sean Zulu, and David Everly behind the cameras. Also, I want to thank Precision Racing League for having the online sim racing network on board the action train. Also, want to thank the AMSOIL for sponsoring the season. This season, they are the first in synthetics, so check them out. AMSOIL.com. Have a good night. See you again next broadcast.